Hello, I'm Kurt Lidke, Executive Director of Klamath Film, and you just watched Burning Up, an interpretive dance of the devastation of losing a home in the Almeda fire last year in our K-12 student film category. With us is the film's creator, Ash Williams. Ash, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I know this film is somewhat autobiographical. In fact, last year we had in the festival a film by your parents, and sadly the Alameda fire came through and took your home and many others a week before our festival last year. What made you
That's,
want to go back and revisit that traumatizing experience?
um, for me, it wasn't too traumatizing of an experience because I've discovered like stoicism, but that's irrelevant right now. So what I've so I had the idea of creating something through one of the talents that I have through dance, and I wanted to use my talent to represent all the people who lost it, not just myself, in an autobiographic way.
Okay. So how long did this take to make? Camera-wise, it's just one static shot, but I take the choreography took some time to develop and figure out.
It was, I'd say, an idea worth a week, and like we had the idea, and then we kept like me and my mother kept brainstorming ways of how to film it, where to shoot it, and then we shot it in two locations actually. One where my house actually burnt down, and then the landscape where I actually made the final choice. And we want my idea was to make it seem like a music video, like it was shot in a music video way. And but obviously it was just two camera angles and then just a little editing magic.
I was curious if where you shot it was the site of where your home previously stood. Like, why that location? What was it about that location that made you ultimately want to film it on that spot?
Um, Mainly it was uh, just the location itself. It was so beautiful, and because of all the burnt trees and all the ash on the ground, uh, we had the idea of where I was wearing all white, and then I would just be rolling around in the ash and just get covered in it, basically.
Okay. How long have you been studying dance? And have you done other film projects capturing movement like this? Since film is, it's kind of the family business, right? So,
Yeah, film is heavily in my family. I've been dancing for about 9 years, and it didn't become more serious to me until about 5 years ago. And ever since then, I've just been working on my dance career. And because of that, I've grown as a dancer, I've grown as a performer, and I've made a few films of myself dancing. It's uh, one of my more another recent one that I made was of a duet that I helped one of my dance friends make, and I just threw it all together in iMovie, and just because I know how to edit things, and like you said, it's a family business, so
right.
it's another art form, and I love to create.
Fantastic. Well, this film is an interesting blend of mediums because it's not just dance sequences, but you also combine kind of a faux animation element into the film that is a colorized, stylized effect, right? So how did you create that look, adding to the overall course of the film of kind of bouncing between real world and suddenly this stylized, like alternate reality, the way that it kind of goes back and forth?
Um, the true thing behind it was that it was like a filter provided by the editing program, and I was just messing around with different filters because I like I said before, I wanted to create the music video look to it, and usually music videos have the like a change of filter or change of setting, and it's I just like the look of that one specifically, and then I just wanted to sync it up to the music and change the camera angles with the music, and make it all music video-esque.
So because I was interpreting that as kind of a deeper meaning, as like a bouncing between like reality and an alternate reality, or maybe like a before and after aspect. Did that come into play, or were you just thinking, hey, this looks cool?
Mostly it was just, hey, this looks cool, but I do love that interpretation of it, because uh, it accidentally did become that kind of bouncing between a world where the fire didn't happen, or it did happen, or whatever interpretation you had.
There's no dialogue in this film, which leaves it very open to audience interpretation of what people take away from the film. So, what did you want people to interpret through the movements and the experience of what you're presenting on film?
Most of the movement was improvisation, because it was to show like the true emotions of me, just basically just like word vomiting these emotions out, and just oversharing with dance basically. And it was supposed to represent just, I I want to say everyone, but I don't think everyone wants to be represented. So I'll just say mostly everyone who went through the fire, because it was such a traumatic experience, and especially since Talent and Phoenix were such like low income populations, it was even harder for those people. And so it's both like to create awareness of these populations, and to also represent the trauma that it caused.
So when you were performing this, did you have music playing, or did you sync up music to your movements later? Because the edits very much so follow, like the music very much so follows in sync with your movements. But I know that's not always possible to have a song in mind that you choreograph to. Sometimes you're choreographing things, and then later on you figure out, okay, what's the appropriate piece of music to fit with this?
Before the idea arose, I had been listening to many different music at the time, and there was one piece of music that I actually connected to, and it's copyrighted, so I couldn't use it in this. So I used that music during the filming, like playing during while I was filming, because I wanted to use like the 2.5 minutes of footage with that music. But then after I needed to connect the music to a different song that was royalty free, I just went online and just searched up a bunch of different songs and found a couple that I liked, and I just tried and sync it up, and it worked really well.
Good, good. Well, were there any bloopers or memorable fun moments that stand out from the course of this production? I know you're addressing a serious topic, and one that is intended to be serious in the viewing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that one take and you're done and everything's flawless. So there's always things that happen in the course of production that maybe at the time it's frustrating, but you can look back now and laugh on. So anything stand out?
Like I said earlier, we actually had 2 locations that we were initially going to film in, and then like actually switch between the 2 during the edit. But we decided to just go with one of the 2, and then I guess you could call, like, my mother and I took like a few pictures during it. I don't know if you would count those as bloopers, but like it was just like standing around, or like, oh, this is a nice lighting. Let's take a jumping picture or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what do you hope that people take away from watching your film Burning Up?
Thing I hope most people take away from Burning Up is that art can represent anything, like in a way of just like how things can be expressed. Like some people just either don't like art in certain ways, but when in reality, most art is created from something more and something that was a completely different context than what people may think of it now. Like somebody could watch this in 100 years and not know what it was about, but it's just your own interpretation, and that's what's so beautiful about art.
Well, thank you, Ash, so much for this film and for joining us. Burning Up will be screened on Sunday, September 19th at 10:30 a.m. in our K through 12 student film category at the Ross Ragland Theater, and available on demand all week. Ash, thank you for this film, and thank you for being a part of the Klamath Independent Film Festival.
Thank you, Kurt.